Like, I mean, there are, I think, alternate endings. Well, yeah, there is alternate ending. There's probably one. Right, hello there YouTube and welcome back to 31. So we're on day 15 now and we're more or less halfway through our 31 days, and it is the last day of first and last week. And the score now, I review the first installment of a horror movie franchise, then its last installment, no remakes counted, etc. So of course these last two franchises that I've reviewed through the first installment, I've reviewed. So I'm reviewing the joint crossover between the Friday the 13th franchise and the A Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, as I review Freddy vs Jason. So, of course, Freddy Krueger, after crossing paths with Jason in hell, given the ending of, Jason's Dead the Final Friday, where Freddy, summons Jason from hell by posing as his mother, telling him to go to Elm Street to, strike fear into Springwood so people will remember Freddy Krueger and Freddy will manifest and return in the world of dreams and terrorize the teens of Springwood. Of course, Jason has too much of a good time and starts, killing all the good stuff for Freddy, and of course, Freddy don't like that. So yeah, Freddy takes on Jason in the dream world in Springwood, and then of course we take the two icons back to Crystal Lake, where the two then have a big brawl out where it's in Jason's domain and Freddy is brought into the real world, and they have a big face-off, and we get some cartoony violence here and there like Tom and Jerry style, but we get a lot of gore, a lot of swearing, a lot of sex, a lot of drugs. And of course, the two titans of horror come together in a big brawl out. Only for it to be a draw. It to be a draw because it's like, I mean, there are, I think, alternate endings. Well, yeah, there is alternate ending. There's probably one ending where Freddy wins Jason, and then an ending where Jason wins, then an ending where they both take it out. But theatrically, I think they decided to call it a draw. As Jason rises out of the water with Freddy's head, and Freddy kind of breaks the fourth wall and winks at you as the credits roll. So what did I like about this film? Well, over time I've gone to have more appreciation for this movie. Now, back in the early days when I went into the history of this film, I thought the director's so inexperienced. I mean, he directed Bride of Chucky without seeing a Child's Play film. He only saw the first installments of the Friday the 13th and the Nightmare on Elm Street series, and he decided to make this crossover movie that was 10 years in the making, because it was all set in motion in '93 when New Line acquired the rights to the character of Jason and made Jason Goes to Hell, and we got that teaser ending. But it would be 10 years before we actually see this crossover, and of course talks of this film happening go back to even further to the 80s when the franchises were in their prime. But of course, in 2003, we finally got to see these two clash. So Ronnie Yu as the director, I thought, yeah, maybe, he could have done it a little better. One thing I guess I didn't like is that Kane Hodder, who had played Jason from part 7 all the way to Jason X, did not return as Jason. He wanted to, but Ronnie Yu thought, nah, let's get another actor in there. Let's get in Ken Kirzinger as Jason. And of course, Ken Kirzinger had a very small part in part 8 where Jason throws him into the mirror in part 8 at the diner scene when he's in Manhattan. So yeah, they got Ken Kirzinger to play Jason. But one thing they knew they had to do was bring Robert Englund back as Freddy Krueger, and this is kind of like Robert Englund's swan song as Freddy, because this is like the last movie he did as the Wacky Dream Demon. So Robert Englund, he had some good brutal horror in there and some comic relief, and you could just tell the guy was having the time of his life in his role, making the most of it, because like I say, this would be the last time we'd see Robert Englund play Freddy in a big theatrical film. Of course, he has reprised the role in an episode of The Goldbergs, where it's set in the 80s, which was a fun episode. But yeah, Freddy Krueger, Robert Englund, they got that right. They definitely got that right. And Jason, I guess, with Jason being a masked silent killer, I guess it don't really matter who can play him, but I still think Kane should have been allowed to come back, because that was a big ambition of his as well. Of course, we got some other side characters in there. We got like our teens in there, like our final girl, our trollopy girl, our jock, etc. We got the typical slasher cliches thrown in there as well for good measure. And of course, this film was all about the two killers meeting and fighting. And you know what, over time, this film's like 20 years old now. I've gained an appreciation for this film and just not took it seriously. I've not took it seriously. I switched my brain off to it and just enjoyed the film, with some pizza, some beers here and there, something to watch with the buddies and just banter about as well. And yeah, we got a few other faces in it, familiar faces in this, like Catherine Isabel, and we got Clancy Brown, and we got even, Destiny's Child singer Kelly Rowland in there too, in I believe her, well, it's the only film role I've ever seen her in. But of course, the violence were Tom and Jerry violent and cartoony, but we still got our gore in there, we still got our blood and guts, we still got to see Freddy and Jason fight each other in two different ways, in Freddy's world and then in Jason's world, which I liked. And of course, it was just a fun film. But I do have my dislikes, like some errors here and there, and probably plot holes. Now, Freddy had to come back so people could remember him, but in the first movie, none of our protagonists had any knowledge of Freddy or knew who he were. So where did that bit come from? I get that they wanted he wanted Jason to be his pawn and strike fear into people, and that in Springwood. And then there's the whole bit where Jason's in the dream world fighting Freddy, and there's that running pipe and then water. I'm like, but Jason drowned in water. In his movies, he's literally living in the water and embraces it as his own. Why all of a sudden is he afraid of water? Is it because, I just put it down to, he's in Freddy's world and Freddy's the master and he's in control, and yeah, but we did get some good callbacks to Friday the 13th as well, like the whole reconstruction of his drowning, where Freddy then intervenes to try and get him. But yeah, I mean, our human characters, well, our teen characters and that, were alright, and that the one I remember the most, of course, is our final girl, Laurie, in it. Not Laurie Strode, a different Laurie. And I did like a few funny stuff, like the whole party scene when they're in a cornfield and there's two stoner guys that encounter Jason. Jason just twists one guy's head around and the fat guy just throws alcohol in him and sets him on fire. That's a funny scene, and he kind of gets what's coming to him. Jason has that whole rampage throughout that, party scene. Yeah, it's just, at the end of the day, I just enjoy the film. It's a fun watch. It's good, not brilliant, but still, it was, a long time in development hell, and when they got it made, well, this was actually my introduction to both franchises, where I was very young. In fact, so young I shouldn't have really been watching it, because I was about 12, 13 at the time. But, I enjoy both films now and this one, so yeah. Like I say, it's not spot on, but they get some things right and they get some things wrong. At the end of the day, I just enjoy Freddy vs Jason, without taking it seriously. So yeah, I'm going to wrap this up now because I've just filmed these last two videos back to back, because we're on an odd numbered month, aren't we? I knew there was going to be a day where I would film two of them back to back, so I do it over 30 days and that. Anyway, yeah. Friday the 13th and the Nightmare on Elm Street, the last installment. And then what am I going to give my ratings for Freddy vs Jason? What the hell with it? I'll give it 3 stabs out of 5. 3 stabs out of 5 for Freddy vs Jason. So there you go. There is my review for this one, and that is it for first and last week. So we've concluded this week's theme. So tomorrow we start a new theme, and it's day 16. And you know what the 16th day is on 31, don't you? The halfway point, because we've reviewed 15 days worth now. We got another 15 to go, with 16 in the middle, where we all like to call the halfway point. So yeah, halfway point and the start of a new week and a new theme. And what is a theme? Well, if you've seen any other promotions and stuff and what have you, you'll know that tomorrow is the start of 70s week. Yeah, I like to dedicate at least one week to a decade, and this year we're going to the 70s. Last year we did the 80s. I thought, let's go back one and do the 70s, which were again another great decade of horror. So I'll see you tomorrow for that one. So be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you wish. You can watch all the 31 so far on this channel, and yeah, social media links are down below. So I've dragged this out long enough now, so I will see you tomorrow, and until next time, don't have nightmares.